And that's saying a lot because college campuses in general have become an incubus for leftist bullshit. But congrats, Harvard, you've outdone yourself this year with your segregated graduation ceremonies. Black members of the class of 2017 decided to hold an individual ceremony to celebrate their exclusive accomplishments that apparently wouldn't mean as much if other races got in the mix. Is this bullshit where a course of study would be titled Hypocrisy 101? Seriously, are you freaking kidding me? After everything this country has been through and the work of so many white and black to bring us together, why does it seem like some are hell-bent on pushing us apart? What else would you call this? This is segregation, and it only brings resentment for some and white guilt for others. Enough! What does the victimhood mentality do for anyone? You graduated from an Ivy League school. You worked your ass off. You're ready to take on the world and make a difference. But you're too special to share the celebration with white classmates? What the hell kind of bullshit is that? Can you imagine what would happen if white students asked to do the same thing? People would lose their freaking minds. You want racism and inequality to go away? Stop bringing it up and exploiting it for special treatment. Police are victimizing you. Trump is victimizing you. Conservatives are victimizing you. When does it end? I've had it with this dear white people nonsense and the life's not fair card thrown out in every turn justified crap like a segregated graduation. You worked hard. You studied hard. Your white classmates did too. Why would anyone want to purposely divide an accomplishment on race? This garbage and riots on campuses like UC Berkeley are not social justice movements, and they do nothing but foster more division, more anger, and more entitlement. You say President Trump wants to take us back to the 50s? Nah, you've got it twisted. And those are my final thoughts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tommy Len from Dallas. God bless, and take care.
Before you head off to bed, and to keep you company during your long haul all night long, tune into the X, KDXC. KDXC 1620 AM for Maximum Overdrive Radio with my dear friend the Road Wolf. Followed by Eric Harley and Joe Kelly overnight only on the Midnight Cowboy Trucking Network.
Welcome to Talking Toes, a segment of Highway Hooker Radio where we talk about tow trucks and discuss issues and concerns of us who drive them, the American towing professional. Talking Toes is brought to you by the Iron Knights Association and our great supporting cast. Rocky Mountain Wrecker Supply, Murray, Utah. Federal Signal Corporation, all the better to see you. By Miller Industries, manufacturers of homes and Century towing equipment. By Jody's Diner of Evanston, Wyoming, when you just gotta eat. Now sit back, grab your coffee cup, and enjoy as we talk tow here on Talking Toes.
Was that not clear without the bam? Yeah, okay. Bam! What?
Truckers, before you head off to bed, and to keep you company during your long haul all night long, tune into DX, KDXC. KDXC 1620 AM for Maximum Overdrive Radio with my dear friend the Road Wolf. Followed by Eric Harley and Joe Kelly overnight only on the Midnight Cowboy Trucking Network.
Talk about that damn CDL. Now here I am, trying to make a living, doing a little driving but a whole lot of giving. The feds won't leave old Bobby B. Taxes, tolls, and old speed traps. Truckers, they always get a bum rap. And now they're throwing the CDL at me. And the states can't get their act together. Things get worse and never better. They're always fooling with my living and my pocketbook. The smoky drug test and the DOT. Now would you look what they're doing to me. It's that CDL test that's got us truckers shook. Oh, to hell with the CDL. It's the feds again coming back to the well. I feel like I've been robbed. This CDL test is gonna knock us out of a job. I ain't buying what you're trying to sell. Damn you, DOT, and to hell with the CDL. Hey, any of you truckers seen this test? It tells you who will need a CDL. Anyone who operates a commercial vehicle. Then it tells you who won't need a CDL, like farm vehicles, which remain within 150 miles of the farm. So what happens if the farmer goes 151 miles down the road, or what if he moves? This whole thing smells. So to hell with the CDL. the purpose of the CDL is to help reduce or prevent truck and bus accidents. If the state don't pass them laws, there won't be any accidents because there won't be any drivers. Guess what? This whole thing smells. So to hell with the CDL. Then it says everybody will have to have a doctor's certificate that he or she is capable of exercising in ordinary and reasonable control of a commercial vehicle. Duh. How about them panty-waisted dumb four-wheelers? I ain't seen one exercising ordinary reasonable control yet. This whole thing smells. So to hell with the CDL. Then it says every applicant shall surrender any driver's license from any other state. Well, I got 24 of them. Now I'm going for 50. I got to buy a cassette for $45. Study for the damn thing. What a rip-off. Hell, it'll take 10 hours to take the test, and half the truckers have flunked it so far. But the best thing is, guys, don't worry. Everything will be fine. I heard that. A fine here, a fine there. Hell, there's a fine everywhere. Bull. You know what? This whole thing smells. So to hell with the CDL. To hell with the CDL. It's the feds again coming back through the well. I feel like I've been robbed. The CDL test is gonna knock us out of a job. I ain't buying what you're trying to sell. Damn you DOT, and to hell with the CDL. Man, my fuel prices are up, and God, even the payphones don't work. The DOT finds us, the Smokies gave us all speeding tickets. The truckers, the CDL test is something we've all got to pass. We ought to all get together and tell them to kiss our, you know what I mean. I think all the rubberneckers out there should have to. Oh, I was into sexy things. She would pull a train. She fucked all my good friends. Heads her claim to fame. I never left her alone. That drove her insane. She only had my dick to suck and she couldn't pull a train. Oh, finger fucking Sally worked at Kelly's bar. She showed me her titties in Ronnie Murphy's car. She was the first lady to let me go that far. Finger fucking Sally down at Kelly's bar. Oh, pussy-eating Pamela arrived at Kelly's high. Caught her in the bathroom. I thought she would die. Eating Susan's pussy, licked that sucker dry. Pussy-eating Pamela arrived at Kelly's high. Oh, something silly Shirley came out after dark. She would give us head jobs in Centennial Park. All the girls would snub her, said she was a narc. Suck 'em, silly Shirley, from Centennial Park. Oh, good old Bloody Marys on the rag again. And pussy-eating Pamela got blood on her chin. Suck 'em, silly Shirley, got caught after dark. Finger fucking Sally in Centennial Park. Now pussy-eating Pamela's in the county jail. Suck 'em, silly Shirley, left town on a rail. They sent Bloody Mary to the pen for life. And finger fucking Sally, she became my wife. Oh, I was into sexy things. She would pull a train. She fucked all my good friends. It's her claim to fame. I never left her alone. That drove her insane. She only had my dick to suck and she couldn't pull a train. Oh, finger fucking Sally worked at Kelly's bar. She showed me her titties in Ronnie Murphy's car. She was the first lady to let me go that far. Finger fucking Sally down at Kelly's bar. And pussy-eating Pamela arrived at Kelly's high. Caught her in the bathroom. I thought she would die. Eating sucker dry. Pussy-eating Pamela arrived at Kelly's High. Oh, suck-em silly Shirley came out after dark. She would give us head jobs in Centennial Park. All the girls would snub her, said she was a narc. Suck-em silly Shirley from Centennial Park. Oh, good old Bloody Marys on the rag again. And pussy-eating Pamela's got blood on her chin. Suck-em silly Shirley got caught after dark. Finger-fucked Sally in Centennial Park. Now pussy-eating Pamela's in the county jail. Suck-em silly Shirley left town on the rail. They sent Bloody Mary to the pen for life. And finger-fucking Sally, she became my wife. Oh, I was in sex and fame. She would pull the train. She fucked all my good friends, had her claim to fame. I never left her alone.
And good evening or good afternoon or whatever the hell it is, wherever the hell you may be out there on that concrete sea. It is one of those nights when I don't know if you're going to be towing much except for a lot of impounds of DUIs, because when it's decent outside, guess what? People drive, but they don't drive sober. And when they do drink and drive, here comes Smokey Bear. Now, when that happens, or they hear pretty soon, guess what? Yep. It's time to go to the jail. And when they go to the jail, you get the car or truck or whatever have you. Yeah, this week has been a great one. It does. It seems like it's always a constant drama. I've never been in any place in my entire life that is so against any kind of progressive change that doesn't necessarily fit into the fast food service area for a job. Example. Gal Wednesday night. Actually, well, take that back. Tuesday night, last. Then sends me a text. Says, what does it take to get into this deal? Being a poster girl for the website. I say, come on out. Well, she's supposed to be out here Wednesday. Nope, she didn't do it. Didn't show up. Figured on as much. You know, I would have been more surprised if she had of. But anyway, so, yeah. So guess what? She says, I'll be over there Thursday. So I spent all day Thursday, yesterday, waiting for her to show up. When I could have been out to the shop getting Lexi Bell ready for the big move. I'll get to that in just a second. But anyway, so, nope, she didn't show up. Which cost me money, cost me time, and frustration, right? Okay. Now, here's the thing. Now, I'm not saying that when we were over in Deer Sweet Hazard or the immediate area, even within the last, I would say, even back in 12, 13, whatever, 2013 and all that, that we got any more people ambitious to show up to do something. But dig this. At least Aaron showed up without much of a coaxing. When she got on board, we had all kinds of putties show up. But at least the ones that over there that didn't want to do anything with the project, at least they had the courtesy to pick up the phone and say, I ain't interested. Now, in that case, even if they're not interested, at least I'm not sitting around all damn day waiting for somebody to show up and then they don't show up. But nobody knows how to do that here in dear sweet Evanston. And it kind of goes, and you know, there's this big deal going on now with the Federal Communications Commission. There is indeed. And most of that has to do with the fact that they're saying, well, no longer do we have to have the studio in the same place as where it's being broadcast, or the city of license. Which theoretically means that a station that wants to broadcast, say, here in Evanston, could actually be located in, say, I don't know, Salt Lake City, Boise, Rock Springs for that matter, and not actually have their studios in Evanston. And I can understand why. Talent, trying to find on-air talent, especially live talent, to be there 24/7, 365. Obviously not that many times, that long for just one person. You know, you break it up into 4 6-hour shifts like we do, but still, because anything over about 6 hours, you start dragging, and then you start trying to find content, and pretty soon you just say, hey, fuck this, I'm going to do something different here. So, anyway, yeah. All right, so once you get past that, then you get into the situation of, well, if the station's not local, I can understand why. If you can't get the talent where you're at, you might as well go somewhere else. Why shut a station completely off or down just because too many people where the damn thing's at, especially in rural America, are too damn stupid to actually get off their ass and walk into a studio and actually do a show. Now, granted, I understand full well the situation of man, woman, studio, privacy. Man has dick, woman has pussy, and left alone for too long, eventually the possibility of somebody getting kinky happens, or could happen. Been there, done that. Yeah. But it doesn't always necessarily need to be that way. People can actually work together in a private residence and not be trying to feel each other up. Go in, do the job, and get the hell out. You know, she gets a paycheck and goes on her way, and I go into the bathroom and go potty. Or something, you know. In other words, you go your own separate ways. Now, it's not that we don't want to have a studio someplace else. I'd like to have one, but I'll be John Brown if I'm going to pay what, $500-600 for a place in downtown Evanston when I can go and rent a place, say in Bountiful or back to Woods Cross for $250, $300, or $400 a month, and have a little scratch left over, and the only thing I got to worry about up here is a small building where the transmitter's at in the tower. You know, fuck the rest of the shit. Who the hell needs it? At least in Utah, you got the talent, you use it. That's why, no, you know, there's an old saying my dad used to use and say, and even my cousin Bud even once a few times said it. If it's such a hot fucking idea, how come somebody else besides you ain't done it already? Think about it. How come the people that were here with the damn radio station to begin with Kiva, didn't keep it on the air? Now, I grant you there was a bunch of fines and a bunch of stuff that they couldn't pay, mostly for not being on the damn air. They got fined for it, up in, I think, in the $60,000 or $70,000 range. And then they owed a whole bunch of back taxes into that for about $80,000. So I understand what the hell the damn problem was. But, you know, anybody that has any brains, if you come in with a couple $100,000 and say, okay, I'm buying this son of a bitch, they should have said, hey, come right on in, let's have a steak. And do it and get it done and let somebody else run it. The reason nobody has is because it ain't worth a damn thing. Which means pretty much I have to swallow or eat crow right now. I had this wonderful idea of a station in dear sweet Evanston. I have spent days in a motel. I have spent money on the first and last month's rent on one place that wasn't worth a peddler's den, that had mice in the fucking walls. No cable. Very little bit of an internet that got taken away from me just because I complimented somebody down at the local damn wireless firm here. Really? So anyway, yeah, that kind of pissed me off. I just should have went in and said, good God, you do a shitty-ass job, get the fuck, and cussed her out. Then nobody would have got upset, by damned. But anyway, and then there's this tits and ass thing. I have yet to figure it out, and like I said, I had a associate friend of mine that used to live here by the name of Tammy. And I always use this because it makes more sense than anything that I've ever heard in my life. She always used to say, what do you got to do? Have balls to figure this one out? In this case, it's more like, what do I got to do? Have a vagina to figure this out? But having a lady show up, audition for an on-air, or at least even just a poster girl, even if they don't want to be on air, I can understand that. Not everybody's in tune to be on radio. Not everybody is. Not everybody has the conversational, whatever you want to call it, the gift of sorts. Nobody seems to. And yet, what we end up having to do is we have to scratch our head and go, okay, well, wait a minute. What happened here? Right? So, yeah. So I kind of said, okay, this is pretty much that it. But the fact of the matter is, nobody ever shows up. And I understand part of it. I mean, good God, you know, I'm not going to do the wild thing with anybody unless they say, hey, let's go here in the back. You want a little bit of this? Well, hell, come on in. I ain't going to do that, you know. There's an old saying my dad used to use too. He used to say, don't put your pen inside the company ink. And that's what it amounts to. Don't be dipping it. Because what happens is you lose all kinds of objectivity. Plus, at that point in time, everything is at risk. Everything. Because all she's got to do, if you even so much as moderately drop that in, guess what happens? All of a sudden she says, well, oh, Gummy, guess what he did? He did this. And now she owns your station and your life. And what the hell did you get out of it? Oh, you got a screwing all right, but it probably wasn't the one you had in mind. So you don't do that shit. Now, would it be nice to have an agency that you could call on that actually dealt in things a little bit outside of the restrictive norm? Yeah, it would. Somebody that actually dealt in the wild girls a little bit, that might have a little bit of a rebellious bit inside of her to actually pull it off. Yeah, it'd be nice. Problem is, there ain't one. At least not around here. The idea that, see, the reason they do that, and one agency actually told me the actual truth of this, and it does make some sense. It really does. It's easier for them to refuse to work with one client that's a little bit on the edge and not risk pissing off the church, because the church casts a lot of projects within the immediate Salt Lake City, Mountain West area here. So if they were probably going to get a church job and they heard something that they were doing with us, that might not grind good, which I can't understand because the church likes us anyway. But what the hell, right? So, hell, I used to see worse. Hell, I've seen worse shit on TV still. And who the hell wants to listen to those guys that sell cars, scream and yell all the damn time? I don't. But apparently there are some people that do. Anyway, so, yeah. Okay, so they don't want to play ball, but it does kind of piss you off after a while. And I can understand why the feds are relaxing the rules to where you don't have to have your actual studios and all that in the same town, especially small rural towns that can't provide or do not have the talent needed to run a successful programming. So what the hell? So I've pretty much said to hell with this shit. Which leads me to item number 2. Last Sunday, after I got done with church, just for the hell of it, I went online and I looked at the Times News. And the Times News and your want ads had a damn apartment place. Under apartments, anyway. Of a place over near Hazard. $500 a month, it said. I thought, this sounds like something I could get into. It really does. This sounds like something I want to be part of. Guess what? Called him up. Guy kind of remembered the old wolf here. Said, you want it? You got it. So, that's where we're going. So I set things in motion, and guess what? We are headed back to Hazard. right back to where everything started from. And that's not such a bad idea, and I'm not saying necessarily that we're going to get a whole bunch of people to be part of what we do. But I can also remember the old times that we had there that allowed it to, so oh yeah. So how y'all doing out there? You taking it easy? You driving that rig up and down the interstate and having a good time, getting it done? I don't know about all this EDL stuff. I've been reading a whole bunch of it. I don't know how that would affect, if it even would affect us in towing. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't. How are you going to regulate hours of service on a tow truck company? I don't know how you do that, or even if you could. I mean, the chances of that happening, I just don't understand how that could be. But you never know. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we actually, now here's one of those things that scratches my ass. It does indeed. But have you noticed, maybe you haven't, I don't know, but have you noticed that there's a lot more crap going on with Facebook as far as actually being able to make things work? Yesterday, for the majority of the time that I tried to get on, the damn thing didn't work. It just didn't. But what the hell do I know, right? It's one of those things you got to scratch your head every once in a while and go, golly gee whiz, is that what it is? How are they going to do that? You're in and out of a tow truck 24/7, 365. How the hell are you going to log that? Or are you supposed to? It's one of those weird. But it's just, I don't know. You have to start asking questions. Anyway, we'll be back after
Welcome to Common Sense Coalition Talk Radio, where you'll find straight talk from people with good old common sense.
I trust your opinion.
And now, for your host, she's putting sense back into nonsense.
Absolute insanity.
Well, you can hear me on the radio. You want to turn me on, turn on the stereo. You can sing along by the play my song. Now you done me wrong, baby, crank it up.
And now, your host, Beth Ann.
And
welcome you today to CSC Talk Radio. It's my privilege and my pleasure to be here with you. It is Free for All Friday. Let's cut to the chase and get straight to the show. It's Free for All Friday, and this you must know. Your voice will be heard across the heart of this land. Your opinion is important, and I think you're just grand. It's Free for All Friday. Your calls are all welcome. We'll talk about almost anything we deny very seldom. So get your coffee ready, the brew that is true. Let's get on with the show, 'cause this day is for you. It's Free for All Friday, 877-895-5410. What is on your mind? 877-895-5410. I burnt my toast. Yep, this morning, as I scooted into the office, so much on my mind, I put my coffee on, and with my little toaster oven, I placed 2 pieces of rye bread into toast. I went back to my desk and began sorting through papers, tons of papers. Even dropped a stack, a great big stack that I had previously sorted and categorized. Picking up and thumbing through it again, I was getting along well. For the piles that surrounded me then, I jumped up, oh my gosh, to retrieve my burnt toast. So, what do you do with burnt toast? Mom taught us to go to the sink and scrape the worst off. Yeah, we did that a lot, and I did that today. I can't waste my toast these days. I added a little peanut butter to kind of make up for it, and breakfast was made. Burnt toast. Mom used to say burnt toast gives you pearly white teeth. I'm still wondering if that's before or after we scrape off the black. Or if she just said that because our toaster was broke and burnt toast was a common ordeal. Either way, I ate my burnt toast. Just for the fun of it today. Do you have a saying from your parent or your grandparent or a wise old aunt and uncle or a friend that sticks with you? Granny used to talk about something about pain and beauty. I don't remember how that went exactly. If you make a face, you better hope it doesn't freeze that way, Mom used to say, especially if we were pouting about something. Burnt toast. What do you do with burnt toast? We're dealing with a lot of burnt toast in scenarios these days. How do you make the best out of such a horrible circumstance? Such circumstances is what we see in the news today. How do you find that silver lining in the storm cloud? It's not what we are dealt some days, but it's how we play that hand. It's been quite a week. Again in the politics, the arena, the bombing, and my mind is still on the at the symposium in Nebraska. As we asked ourselves, we see the problems. Now what do we do with this burnt toast? CSC Talk Radio, and it is Free for All Friday, and your calls are welcome. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about at 877-895-5410. We have Joe in Arkansas on the line. Joe, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Beth?
I'm doing pretty good. I ate my burnt toast for breakfast, and I'm all right.
All right. Well, what I wanted to talk about was this candidate for Congress, this Republican candidate for Congress, as I've heard it reported, in Wyoming, that is reported to have body slammed the reporter.
Is it Wyoming or Montana?
What?
Is it Wyoming or Montana?
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, if I said Wyoming, I was wrong. Yeah, it is Montana, definitely. You're right there. Yeah, but anyway, I think, here's the way I think about this. When I listen to the news on the radio, you know, the ABC and NBC and Fox News and so on like that, you know, and when I see what they're reporting in the newspapers, I don't watch television, but what I see is that these big media news organizations and the reporters in them that work for them, all they want to do is destroy freedom and prosperity in this country. All they want to do is tear down and destroy everything good about this country. All they want to do is slander and lie about good people and harass them and try to get them into trouble and try to turn people against them. And that's probably what this reporter was doing. And when I listen to these people, on the radio, these so-called news reporters that are just really nothing but filthy propagandists, I feel like it ought to be all right to kill them because they have no constructive purpose in what they're doing. All they're trying to do is tear down something good and destroy, everything good about this country and take away all the good things, all the freedom and prosperity of this country. And so I think unless they start showing some integrity and some honesty and some journalistic objectivity, they deserve things like this.
They hound and they hound and they hound, and I heard how he was asking, but you're not going to get any of those other journalists or reporters to say, he could have backed off. They're never going to say that. That's our job. We got to go for it, go for it, go for it. Sometimes they're beyond annoying. And I don't know exactly what happened. It sounded to me like he was pushing this guy, and maybe obviously pushed him a little too far, and so he body slammed him. And I think he should have shown more restraint. But at the same time, when we have a tragedy, they can't wait to go up there with a microphone and put it in the face of somebody that's hurting and say, "Oh, your house just burned down. You lost all your family. How does that make you feel?" When are they going to back off and let people, grieve? When are they going to tell the truth instead of, I've got some stories today where they're chasing things that aren't there just for the story. And they're making it up. And you and I both know that that's what they're doing.
I remember when I was young, I would hear about things like, Frank Sinatra. Apparently Frank Sinatra punched a photographer or a newspaper person or something like that was arrested.
Yes, he did. I vaguely remember that.
Okay. I remember something about that. And of course, when I was young, I was very left-wing and very politically correct at that time, and I thought how terrible Frank Sinatra was. But as I've grown up and seen how the world really is, probably this was one of these scummy reporters that lies and slanders good people and harasses people, and probably Frank Sinatra was, felt very naturally, perfectly healthy, natural feeling, probably for the...
This is KTOW FM 105.7, Cokeville, Evanston, Wyoming.
And these news reporters and so on, they are so completely without any integrity, completely without any honesty or decency or goodness. This completely natural reaction of any, worthwhile person, I think, to want to punch them, to want to, kick them, to want to, kill them or whatever they feel like doing to them,
Well, I know, I think...
I don't think, in other words, I'm saying I don't think this guy running for Congress was really wrong in what he did.
You think he might have been justified?
He had a perfectly natural, healthy sort of human reaction to this reporter probably harassing him.
I know that the paparazzi was with Sinatra. That was part of what that was, and also with Clooney. I remember George Clooney knocking somebody down. And didn't Geraldo get in some kind of a fight here? Or, it's been several years back, and some of these others. Yeah, they kind of push and they push and they push till people have just had about enough, and they give them the right, what do they call it, a right jab or a left jab, or apparently they body slam them. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate your call.
It's called an attitude adjustment.
I hope you feel better and have a really great weekend. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome. It is free for all Friday. This is your day. I like to hear what you have to say. 877-895-5410. We have Tony in Illinois. And we have Skits holding. 877-895-5410. And we the people will be right back. have returned. And yes, I truly did burn my toast this morning. I didn't make that up for the monologue. I just, usually whatever I say is what's actually going on in my life. And I am very real with you. Very real with you. And I burnt my toast. And as I was working and sorting these papers, and I thought by then I forgot I'd got my toast, and then I go, oh, my toast. So anyway, you make the best out of the burnt toast. And we're going to go to Tony in Illinois. Tony, do you make the best out of burnt toast?
I do, or at least lately I've been trying.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is. It's like you also put in some of your talks that it's very hard to get through life's daily amount of negative stuff going on.
Oh, my, yeah.
And the one thing I always try to keep in mind, you asked what keeps us going, and that's that I try to remember that, of course, God is in control, but not only that, unfortunately, the bad guys being in control is his plan. And we stay on his side, we stay strong and focused on him, and he'll weather us through the storm.
Absolutely. What a great way to look at it. You have to laugh at the... You have to find the silver lining or find some kind of humor in the worst situations, whether it's burnt toast. Even when my house burned down, there was very little good about what happened, but you had to kind of laugh at some of the things, and you just can't go around crying. It doesn't do any good.
If you don't, you'll be swamped.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you, Beth Ann. You're such a breath of fresh air, and God bless, and have a good one.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We're going to go to Skits in Nebraska. Skits, how are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. Well, where do I go? Life and burnt toast. Well, it's just be glad you don't have me cooking for you.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Anyway, number two. Well, I would tend to disagree with you a little bit with your last caller. Yeah, God might be in control, but we're supposed to control things too. That's also part.
Well, he did say that we're supposed to still do what's right, stand for what's right. Yes.
Well, that, and I think it's the only time bad people will get control is if we abdicate it to them.
If good people do nothing.
Yeah.
If we sit back and do nothing. Yeah. And we've tolerated, the first thing we were told we need to tolerate this or that. And it doesn't mean tolerate, it means completely accept. And next thing you know, they're not tolerating us. So.
Okay, well, now the other thing, Memorial Day's coming up.
Yes, it is.
And I would like to express my outrage at the fact that you have Bush and Cheney and Dianne Feinstein and Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz, who've made bucket loads of money off of these phony wars that they've hornswoggled our troops into, thinking that they're fighting for our freedom, and that we people like me get constant calls to donate to veterans organizations. I am thinking that Madam Feinstein and Liz Cheney, she's a congresswoman now in Wyoming. I think they could pony up a few of those war profits.
Feinstein is the same person who said that all vets had mental illness, and she didn't want them to have any guns.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Janet Napolitano said the returning vets are a threat to Homeland Security. Yeah, you know what? I think they ought to pony up some of their billions.
But I'm gonna look for that. I'm going to scrape off the burnt here on this toast, and I'm going to say we need to remember the ones who were lost. We're not going to talk about whether the wars were justified or unjustified, because I agree with you on most of that, but we lost young men and young women in these wars, and I'm going to have a special Memorial Day show that I hope you're able to tune into, because we're going to discuss the memory part, because that's what we need to do, is to remember the loved ones. It used to be Decoration Day, and it was all about bringing this nation back together when we were broken. And right now we're broke, but the problem is we're not broken. We're not a broken people ready to get on our knees and and do what's right. And so we need to remember those that were lost and not concentrate so much on the evil of those who perpetrated the wars.
Yeah. Well, I'm prepared more to live down my feet than to live on my knees.
Well, we need to be doing a little bit of both. Okay, Skip?
All right.
I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much. We're going to...
Twice.
Thank you. We're going to go to Roger in New Mexico. Roger, how are you today?
Oh, just fine. Your show is as delightful as ever.
Thank you.
And it's a joy to listen to all the people chime in. And we all agree on a lot of things. But it's the we went to our grandson's high school reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, and they reminded me of something. The people speaking. One of the young ladies reminded me of something my grandma told me way back when I was a kid. Here's how you live life. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Oh, I remember that one. Absolutely. That is a good one.
But she had one other one. It says if you're in a relationship that you have to keep secret, then you shouldn't be in it. And she was talking about politicians, too.
Well, anything, if you have to do it behind closed doors, you're in trouble, that's for sure. All right.
I'll let you go.
Thank you.
The Morse Chambers.
Okay, thank you, Roger. You have a great weekend. And congratulations on your grandson's graduation. Well, we have a lot of burnt toast going around in this nation. We have lies, we have innuendos, we have, unfortunately, some of the truth is not too pretty either. And it's something we've got to deal with as a people. And like I said, I'm working on a very special show for Monday. And I've put together several things that I think you're going to enjoy, and I hope that you will tune in for that. One of the worst things we've had lately is this week. We had the bombing over there in Manchester in Britain. And as you're listening to the news and you're hearing what's going on and you get the name of the bad guy and all this and that, and then you find out that was secret intelligence that wasn't supposed to be told, and here it is out in the U.S. media, and it could make a big difference as to what they're doing, because they anticipate another attack, or they were anticipating it. This is coming from the Daily Signal. It says the U.S. intelligence leaks are threatening national security. Here's what the White House can do, and this is written by a Fred Lucas. Classified information leaks to the media have often been framed as clash between the so-called deep state and President Donald Trump. However, Britain's threat to stop intelligence sharing information with the United States demonstrates a much larger problem. The BBC first reported Thursday that British police will stop sharing information with the United States on the Manchester terror attack after someone in the U.S. intelligence community leaked classified photos of the bomb site to the New York Times, which outraged UK officials. Later Thursday, Britain said after assurance it would resume information sharing. Donald Trump is picking up the slack here. Somebody is willing to make a name for themselves, to get a buck, to put this entire nation and other nations in jeopardy, in danger, in crisis, more lives lost for the story. Now, if they catch this leaker, he needs to get a lot more than a body slam. This is a burnt toast that I don't know if you can scrape the black off enough and make it edible. This came as a major concern to the Trump administration, obviously. The president has made it very clear going back months that leaks threaten national security and that he is outraged at these allegations and he wants to get to the bottom of it. I believe him. Do you believe him? He has been hit every which way, turned every which way but loose. That's what they want. They want him turned loose. They want to impeach him because they can't stand that he's trying to fulfill campaign promises. Who ever heard of such a thing? Is he going to be right on everything? No, he's not going to be right on everything. I already disagree with him on some things. But I have said for a long time, not just these leaks, but this media, this mainstream media, and even Fox, they just keep going one direction, one direction, one direction. And the hate that's coming out of the Democrat Party and some of the Republicans for this president, that they will not shut up. They will not look at anything, but they look at everything as burnt toast. And you know what? I'm thinking they're the burnt toast. And we need to do a lot of scraping off of the bad part before we can get to the good part. And they, in their rhetoric, are a national security, in my opinion. We're going into a break. It is Free for All Friday. 877-895-5410 is the number to call. And it is your day. I like what you say, and we will be right back. And we have returned. You're listening to CSC Talk Radio. It is Free for All Friday. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about at 877-895-5410. I was telling my producer, I had a whole different idea of the direction of this show earlier in this week. I'd been saving up articles and everything that I was going to share with you that were really deep. And then I burnt my toast. And it all went another direction. Isn't it amazing how we get led in another direction? And I had someone actually send me a message that said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it is broke, and we got to fix it. We do have to fix it. We're going to go to New York, and he doesn't want to give his name. Anonymous in New York. What's on your mind?
Yeah. All those who listen, if you can pick up a lock cylinder for a deadbolt with more lock pin stacks than 6 pins, with blanks you can work. You've done something that nobody I know can, because all these deadbolt lock cylinders they have out there go to a length of only 6 pin stacks. Before they'll say that the locksmith only can make the key for that lock. And with that said, anybody who can do so can get that longer length lock cylinder. They're going to have a whole lot more security. When you get out to past 5 pin stacks, just that extra set of pins, which is called the pin stack, past the 5 pin stack length, is going to increase your security something by 500 to 1,000 to 10,000 times as you go out more. But right now it only goes out to 6 that you can get a key to work your own.
Okay, so what's your point in burnt toast?
Well,
here?
somebody's got the rights to the patent for these longer cylinders, and it's unfortunate. It's got to be somebody very, very wealthy, because from what I know, all over the continental United States, it only goes out to 6 pin stacks for a deadbolt cylinder that you can buy key blanks for to work yourself. And that makes it very, very hard for the average man to lock his things securely, unless he has complete faith in a locksmith. And locksmiths are only human.
That's true.
So anybody who, these extremely wealthy people that hold rights to these patents for these locks, should consider allowing the common man access to the greater security.
Well, I think, I think there's a lot of things. Yeah, we know a lot of things about the patents. Of course, that's another deal where you pay. So it's like you said, who's got the patent, who's got the rights, who's paying the big bucks. I appreciate your call. Thank you for the little education there. Thank you, Anonymous from New York. I appreciate it. I like I was saying, everything was going to go a different direction. I had some pretty deep stuff, and I'm serious about that I was going to share. Maybe I was just not supposed to share it with you today, because I've got another direction that we ended up going when we burnt the toast. And, you know, I try to put things in a perspective as to what's really going on in this world and in my life. What's really going on? And we have watched so much this week. We had this terror attack in Britain, at Manchester, attack on little girls. Then we have an idiot leaker, jumped right on that, put the United States in jeopardy with our allies. They no longer trust us. Where's the loyalty to this nation and to life? Life in general. There is no loyalty to life. I mentioned that yesterday about liberty. They don't have any respect or love for life. I'm going to talk about that a little bit on Monday as well. They don't have any love for life. So they could care less about liberty. They're very selfish, and they care about themselves. So while the media and the Democrats are going after the president, he's abroad. He's trying to make friends, not enemies, or at least try to pool a bunch together to fight one general common denominator, which would be ISIS. Trump has said before that he doesn't like polls. Well, of course he doesn't like polls. None of us like polls if they're against us, but he's bragging about one right now. President Donald Trump, he tweeted it out, and I missed this tweet. I usually watch his tweets. A 48% approval rating from the latest Rasmussen report poll. And that came out yesterday, I guess, and he says, "Thank you for the support. Together we will make America safe and great again." The 48% approval in the conservative pollster's latest survey is his highest among the polls monitored by Real Clear Politics, and it is a fairly wide outlier. Most of the other polls, it says here, range between 37 and 40% approval. Among all those polls, Trump's disapproval ratings range from 55% and to Rasmussen's low of 52%. Rasmussen's results have consistently been more favorable to the president, approaching more 60% after his inauguration in January, and it dipped down to 42% in April. Well, the crowds have shown a great amount of encouragement with Donald Trump and approval. And I think most people of what he's doing now are sitting in awe. We don't know what's going to come of it. We know that some of these people we're trying to pull together with to fight one common denominator have not been our friends in the past. We know that. So we don't know what's going to come of it. But we stand in awe because we've not seen this in a very, very, very long time. In a very long time. And I think that's one reason that the mainstream media is going berserk over everything else. They won't even cover, and certainly not in a positive way, they won't even cover his trip. Now, they did cover the NATO thing, and they went after him and said, oh, that he just made everybody mad right there. Right then, you could hear they were just angry. I didn't hear it that way. But he said the truth. They need to honor the contract and pay what they said they were going to pay. The United States has picked up the slack for everyone, and we can't do that. We can be leaders, but we can't pick up the slack on everything. They need to have some investment, monetarily and bodily investment. So I guess when we talk about the media, we need to do a lot of scraping off of the burnt toast. I'm not sure how much toast we'll have left by the time we scrape off all the undesirable in the mainstream media. It's just amazing to me that they have gotten away with what they have gotten away with. You don't hear too many people talking favorably about the media, particularly the mainstream media. Of course, maybe I'm in the wrong circle or the right circle. I don't know which circle I'm in. But this goes back a long way. They've just been getting worse and worse and worse as time has gone on. And now we have Fox, which is an alternative, and I see them being very political as well. And they get some of those who disagree with them on there, which I think is okay. But they yell and they scream and they fight and they talk over each other. And I guess my thoughts are, of course I'm not a journalist, my thoughts are, let's come together, figure out how to scrape the bad off the burnt toast, and make a good breakfast out of it. They don't ever accomplish anything. They're not going to change each other's minds. They're just set in their ways. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome. It is free for all Friday at 877-895-5410. I'm going to slow down because I get in trouble. 877-895-5410. And we will be right back. Radio. It is free for all Friday. We're in the final segment of today's show. We're going to move back to the phones. We have Susan from Rockford, Illinois. I love my people up there in Rockford. I love all my people. But you guys are pretty faithful up there. How are you doing today, Susan?
Yeah, great. I got a couple little points for you. First of all, about the saying from my mother, one thing my mother always used to tell me was it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Well, there you go.
Of course, he was talking more about dressing warm when you go out, but I suppose you could also apply it to our country's military, you know, build up the defenses so that hopefully we have something to defend ourselves and not have to use it.
Oh, good way to look at that.
Back to President Reagan. The other thing, when your caller talked about the deadbolt lock, I got a little story about that, too.
Okay.
This happened about 2014, I say, well, I live in the West End here in Rockford, and they say there's increasing crime. In fact, just this last week, our police chief was not very happy because we had 2 shootings where people got killed, and one of them was a 12-year-old boy. So we're not very happy about that. But anyway, this happened back about 2014. And it was a Saturday night, and, you know, all stuff goes on Saturday night, and especially here in this area. Anyway, I guess it was about 11 o'clock at night, if I remember, and I was in bed, not actually asleep, but from the back, I got a front door and the back door. We're going through the kitchen into the breezeway, and then there's the back door out there in a patio. And I heard, it sounded like kind of a bang, 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 bang. I thought, what the heck is that? So I wondered, what's this banging? And then it stopped. So I got up, went through the kitchen, went and turned on the light in the breezeway, and I was shocked. I had a very solid wood door with a deadbolt lock, and it was locked. And that, in fact, had actually been stuck in the locked position, so I didn't even use it. That door was standing wide open, about 2.5 feet open.
Gosh.
But there was no sign of anyone around. You know what saved me? My horrible housekeeping. I had all my stuff, my boxes, and I collect a lot of stuff. I guess you'd say like a hoarder. I have books, and I had things and boxes and stuff piled up from the kitchen entry to the breezeway all the way to the door. It was just crammed full of stuff. So somebody had taken, I guess, a battering ram or somehow. He managed to bang through a very solid wood door. Actually broke the frame on it. Deadbolt lock didn't do a bit of good, but once he got through, he couldn't go anywhere because the whole area was barricaded. So he took off.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. Messy Tessie saves the day, huh?
I called the police to report it, and I said, well, I was always meaning to clean up here, but now I'm glad I didn't. But I did call my handyman, and he came over, and he tried to fix it. He tried mightily to try to repair it, but actually the frame had been broken, so he had to go out shopping for me, and he had to put in a whole new door for me.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm glad all is well, and they didn't steal any of your stuff.
No, they couldn't get through because I'm such a horrible housekeeper. And then the garage door, which I don't use because I say I'm really a non-driver, but the garage came with the house, and my folks and I were moved in here, but they used it. But that door is sort of broken, so I managed to pull it shut, and a belt or something broke. So if anybody tries to get through there, they cannot raise that door. And I said, I don't think that's even worth fixing with all the crime going on.
I'm glad you're okay. I appreciate that, Susan. I'm so thankful you're good.
I appreciate your program so much, Beth Ann. I try to listen to it whenever the local station doesn't cut it off for some ball game or something.
Oh, you better tell them, yeah. Tell them to air the ball game
They
later.
cut off you and Alex, and that really aggravates me no end. But keep doing the wonderful work. If I get a little something, I'll try to send you, but I'm trying to catch up on some bills.
I understand that completely. I thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, she kind of gave us, you know, it's okay to have a little mess in the house. We've got Jim from Missouri. Jim, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, this income tax, Missouri State income tax.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's had the same problem we've got, but it took almost a month for them to get our return back to us. And I just wanted federal came back in about 4 days.
So, somebody just whispered in my ear and said a month is fast compared to what some people are doing to wait. So here in the state of Missouri. So I don't know. It's I have to confess. I haven't sent mine in yet. I had to get a delay because I was a little slow. So I can't tell them they're slow because I'm really slow.
Well, I hope you're not as slow as they are.
Well, I had to get what do they call it, an extension, and so it won't happen for a few months. But that's because I didn't have my act together. I don't have to pay them, so that's usually a good thing because I'm not making any money. You got to pay them if you make something. I am not making anybody. Yeah, they are slow, Jim.
Sometimes I wondered what the holdup is. I mean, federal didn't have any problem with our return, you know.
Did you do them both through the mail, or did you do them
both same time and over the computer?
Over the computer, okay. I don't know. But I know it's always a little slower here in the States, so I appreciate it, Jim. I don't know what's going on, but
I want you to know I appreciate your program.
Thank you.
A lot of people listen to it and take it as good news, not fake news, but good news.
Oh, well, good. I hope so. Once in a while I get it wrong, but it's not because I'm trying to. I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you so much. Appreciate. You know, I have a relationship with all of you, and even though I haven't seen your faces, because I spend an hour every morning with you, and it's every weekday morning anyway, and it's something very special to me, and I appreciate it. I hope we can hang on to that relationship. There's an old country song. We're getting ready to close here. There's an old country song. It's not really that old, but he says voices, and he's talking about remembering what his mom told him and his dad told him, and this is his dad told him work that job, but don't work your life away. And his mom told him to be sure and drop some cash in the offering plate on Sunday. And his granddad said, it's okay to have a few, but don't cross that line. And he says, I hear voices all the time. He turns out that I'm pretty lucky for all the good advice. Those hard-to-find words of wisdom hold up here in my mind. He says that when I think I've lost my way, I've got too many choices. I hear those voices, and I like those voices. He said, my dad's saying, you quit that team and you'll be a quitter the rest of your life. Or Mama telling me to say a prayer every time I lay down at night. And Grandpa's saying, if you find the one, you better treat her right. He says, oh yeah, I hear voices all the time. Sometimes I try to ignore them, but thank God for them, because they made me who I am. You work that job, but don't work your life away. He says, I hear voices every day. To go back to the burnt toast, we had a broken toaster, and burnt toast was the common scenario most days if we chose to toast in the morning. And it brought me back to those days. Mom and Dad are gone. It brought me back to those days. They're a very simple time. And to hear the voices of Mom and Dad giving me advice. I rolled my eyes around when I was young, but I cling to those voices today. Burnt toast. Scrape off the black and eat it anyway, because burnt toast gives you pearly white teeth. That's what Mama would say. There's a lot of burnt toast in our lives, and we have to scrape off what's undesirable and take the good and nourish it. It's up to us to see what's good in the world. There's an awful lot of evil, but there is a lot of good. And we have to come together. Scrape off the burnt toast and bring America home.
Ah, yeah, good old dear sweet and lovely Beth Ann. CSC Talk Radio, heard every weekday afternoon right here at 1300 hours, right here on the big one, KTOW, FM 105.7, Evanston, Cokeville, Wyoming. I was talking a little bit about the models and stuff that always say, yeah, I'm really interested in coming in and being part of your show. I want to be on your website. I want to do this. I want to do that. Yet they come up, if they show up, and you wonder, what were they thinking? Why bother me if you're not interested? It's not like we're doing porn. I mean, I've seen worse shit on Dear Sweet Facebook. I'll bet 10 to 1 odds I'll go on there and there's, I don't know, half dozen pages. And it always seems like somebody on Facebook, when they do something like that, or when somebody posts something, if they run out of topics or interesting things, up comes some gal that they went over to some other site and did a frame capture or whatever and then read and probably edit it a little bit and then put it up on Facebook. Makes you wonder who's going to get sued by who. Talking about suing. And this is the last part of this, and then we'll be switching off and going from here from live stream and going over to our Spreaker.com station. But here's the thing. I say to dear sweet YouTube, fuck you. Just fuck you, YouTube. Now, here's why I say that. Remember last week when I said, and I didn't do any more than an hour on it, okay? Maybe an hour and a half or so. But anyway, what I did is I ran a show that had no music and very little voice track. And guess what? Even that got flagged. Can you believe that? And then all of a sudden there was all kinds of copyright notices or copyright claims on, first of all, the Dixie National Anthem. Are they kidding? That is, whether it's copyrighted or not, everybody, it'd be as bad as if I played the Star Spangled Banner. What are they going to do? Say, sorry, you can't play that. Really? I can't play my part of the nation's national anthem? Okay, and then there was another one that was done by Tennessee Ernie Ford from some Disney flick years ago, and they made a fuss over that. 2 songs. Really? Fuck you, YouTube. You know, our freedom of speech or freedom of expression or an artist's creative license, whatever it is being taken away from us at such a rapid rate that pretty soon you won't be able to say anything. You might as well become a deaf mute. No, I'm not making fun of those who are. I'm just saying you might as well become a deaf mute. Because you won't be able to say a damn thing. You won't be able to talk to anybody about anything because of fear of, oh my goodness, somebody has that copyrighted. Excuse me? If you walk down the street and you sing a song that you like, is somebody going to all of a sudden come up and go, you can't do that. You can't sing that song in public. Excuse me. I like the tune. I'm singing it whether you like it or not. Piss on you. You know, that's essentially what YouTube's been doing to us. And then there's those categories. On Facebook even. I don't know how many times I get somebody or some little posting that'll say something to the degree of, we recommend a category change or some other thing like that. And it's like, excuse me? You didn't have the right category anyway. They don't, if you put something under aviation, it's aviation school. Really? You don't have a section for military aviation or farm aviation or a farm aviation company or an aviation organization? How about just a flight club? They don't have it for that. Or a motorcycle club. Nope. No, nothing there. It's either a motorcycle shop or some other bullshit. Because some jackass sitting in California, pretty much in Gay Bay, doesn't understand that there are different categories in different spots for different things. And yet, this is the big one, and yet, the problem exists to where you can't do anything but suck on their, well, or let them shove it up your ass. I'm sorry. It's just, anymore, it's just getting ridiculous. Anyway, we'll be back around. So I say to Facebook, or not Facebook, but YouTube, fuck you. I'm going to play what I want to play on my radio show, and if you don't like it, tough. But that's why you don't see me placing a lot up on YouTube anymore. you might as well not, because why do that and go through the frustration? It's what I like about Spreaker and SoundCloud and Mixcloud. I don't have those battles with them. I don't know, man. Just don't know. Anyway, we'll see you back around on www.spreaker.com/Airwolf. AYREWOLF. And then just find Hazard Life and Hazard Air. Until then, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
But not this year, says the Energy Department's Oil Price Information Service analyst Tom Kloza. He says the more south you drive, or as you drive from the east towards the west, the more you save, unless you go far west.
Western prices, particularly in California and the Pacific Northwest, are considerably higher than they are in the Rockies, and they tend to fade lower as you move horizontal from west to east.
Hours after masked gunmen ambushed a bus carrying Coptic Christians to a monastery south of Cairo today, leaving more than 24 dead, Egypt responds by launching airstrikes against what it says are militant training bases in Libya. President Trump issues a statement after the bus attack, promising to crush evil organizations of terror. White House National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster traveling with the president.
We were heartbroken by the attacks in Manchester. We're heartbroken today by the attacks in Egypt, only serving to highlight even further the importance of taking on
these transnational terrorist organizations that are a threat to all civilized peoples. A top White House economic advisor says President Trump's views on climate change are evolving following his discussions with European leaders at the G7 summit in Italy, who are pushing him to stay in the Paris Climate Accord. British Prime Minister Theresa May after the heads of state met in Sicily.
There is no doubt around the table about how important this particular issue on climate change is, and we were all very clear about that and about the role the Paris Agreement plays in that.
President Trump's chief economic advisor, Gary Cohn, says this other issue was discussed at G7.
You won't be surprised at all with what he said on trade. The president reiterated his views on fair trade, free trade, open trade, and fairness, talking about reciprocal nature.
You're listening to ABC News.
He's passed away. ABC Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis has more.
There are very few human beings on this planet who are visionaries. Roger was one of them.
Bill O'Reilly speaking out about the passing of Roger Ailes.
He's a tough guy. Settled scores, and that made him a big target. Didn't take any guff from the left or the right. He alienated a lot of people. He was very tough. And a lot of people hated him. And that hatred ultimately brought him down.
O'Reilly telling listeners on his No Spin News podcast he thinks the Fox News founder never really recovered after he was forced to resign last July following allegations of sexual harassment.
You know, his departure from Fox News broke his heart. There were accusations, and he denied them, and ultimately he walked away, and he was never the same.
Ailes steadily denied the allegations, but with remaining lawsuits against him and his former network still at large, his unexpected death calls into question what happens next in those pending cases. But as those cases go on,